It's here, the final part of my NVIDIA earnings preview series, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on where this thing is going, both the bull case and the bear case, because this is coming up here next week, May 28th. So get educated, get informed, and let's get ready to tackle NVIDIA earnings together. Jeremy Ritz here, Courage Pays Better Than Fear Trading, here with the final installment in my three-part NVIDIA earnings preview series. And this video is going to be a little shorter because we've covered everything that you need to know heading into this report. And what I'm going to give you today is both the bull case and the bear case for where the price could go upon earnings, and also show you what some analysts are projecting. I'm going to show you what's happened in the last few earnings reports in terms of percentage moves. And then I'll also show you what AI says is going to happen. And I'd love to hear in the comments, what are your thoughts about where it's going to go after we go through this content? So without any further hesitation, let's just jump in here to the predictions. NVIDIA price targets, we're going right in. We've covered everything in those first two parts, but I'm going to go through the bear case, the bull case. We'll take a look at the charts. As of right now, when I'm recording this, Trump said that he wanted to recommend 50% tariffs on the EU. He talked about an additional 25% tariff on Apple if they did not make their phones here in the US. So that's dragged the market down a little bit, including NVIDIA. And we'll take a look at the charts here, put these numbers into perspective. But let's start with the bear case. All right. And this is from my analysis. And I wanted to show the last three times that NVIDIA has gapped down, and it's actually been 3 consecutive gap downs in a row. You could see what those percentage drops were, and how I measured that was from the close of the previous day to the next day's low. So then earnings were announced this day, so that next day, what was the low? And that's how I calculated these percentage drops. And you can see they span from 3.56 up to 8.44% in terms of declines. And that the biggest was in February here, but keep in mind, just in terms of probabilities, we've had 3 moves down on NVIDIA the last 3 earnings reports. And in looking at the charts, and we'll take a look here in a second, the bear case for me, just in terms of analyzing these numbers, these declines, let's say that we have a negative report, there's pressure from the tariffs, 117.50 would be where I see the stock falling to. Again, we'll look at the charts on this. And then the worst case scenario being about 112. Both of those situations would be buying opportunities, in my opinion, because NVIDIA is not going anywhere. They are the dominant force in the AI world, and AI is just getting started. Now, when we take a look at the bull case, these are the last 3 gap ups that have occurred. Now, these moves were quite significant. And when you go back to that May 2023 move, that was over a 30% jump. And it would be foolish to expect something like that, or even what happened in February of 24, that was a 16% gain. And in May of 2024, an 11% gain. What I'm seeing, or where I think a good spot for this to move and for it to stick and kind of cluster and chop sideways and slowly grind higher, and this is the bull case, would be that $150 mark. The all-time high on NVIDIA is around 152. And then the best case bullish scenario would be around 160 and setting a new all-time high. But what are analysts saying? I wanted to put this information on here too. And you can see that the analyst median prices are anywhere between $157 and $200 over the course of the next year. So that's a pretty significant move from where NVIDIA is trading right now, which is around $131. So I threw this into Grok. I said, hey, look at the earnings report, all the factors that are happening right now, and give me the bullish case and the bearish case of what can happen post earnings. And I'll spare you details that was shared in that report from Grok, but you could see from a bullish perspective, if everything strong is in the favor of an NVIDIA, then it's going to be between 157 and 180. And if it's bearish, $100 and $110. Now, let's take a look at the charts. All right, so here's the chart on NVIDIA. We're on the daily. And again, I'm recording this before market closes, but you can see we gapped down today off of that tariff news. We're sticking to that 10-day exponential moving average. But if there's continued weakness in the market from this tariff news, I could see us selling down into the 200 simple moving average on the daily or into this 50 SMA on the weekly. That would be good support. And then you can see here the price targets that I have on Nvidia. Again, this bull case being that 150 target. So you can see we would come up here into this area. And notice that's not up to that all-time high that we made in January. And if we do, in fact, gap up and out of here, I do think we would then just slowly grind higher, make a new all-time high, and then whatever would happen from there. Again, there's so many uncertainties, moving parts right now in the market that it's hard to say that something's going to stick and stay unless we have some significant optimism come into the market and stay in the market and give certainty. And then in terms of the bearish case, again, if we drop down here to the 200 or the 50, that's really a decent sell-off based on the tariff news, and where I could see us dropping would be down here to this 117.55, which is close to that 50-day simple moving average. The worst case being around $112. But again, I think those dips are buyable, and that would put us down near this neckline of this double bottom. For me, the way I am playing this, and this is just me, this is not financial advice, but based on the probabilities, what has happened in the last few times with Nvidia, those 3 consecutive gap downs, Nvidia is due for a move higher on earnings. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be an astronomical move, but I'm leaning more towards the bull case, and I'm watching that 150 price area for the move higher. Now, will it happen? We don't know, but I am playing this, and I am playing with size that I can afford to lose with my risk, but I'm seeing a move to 150. So there you have it, the final installment in my Nvidia earnings preview. I hope you found some value in this. You can see how I'm going to be approaching this play here on earnings. I am bullish on this call, which kind of goes against what is happening across the board in the markets, but I do feel Nvidia is poised for its next stage of growth. I feel like the last 3 times that it's reported, it's been somewhat punished or put into the penalty by the markets, but we're just getting started with artificial intelligence. As much as people who are exposed to AI know about it, there's a majority, and really it's the majority of the population who isn't really familiar with it. And we're just getting started. There's so much out there with AI that is just going to revolutionize our world. And I think this earnings report could be a preview of what's to come. And I think that sets up the next leg higher on this ticker who has been the king of the market for some time.